Awesome. Let's get started. And Kara, thank you so much for joining me today to have this important conversation about understanding 529s. I know you personally as the OG of IG. I think we go back to what, 2017 or
Oh yeah.
2018.
Yep.
Because of you, I've taken my first trips for free with travel hacking. So thank you so much for that.
Bet.
Um,
I love
that's
it.
what you're known for, but you're also known for being a great mom and having two kids in college and having done such great work with getting prepared so that they can go to school and come out loan free, which I think a lot of parents are interested in doing, but they're just a little afraid of jumping into the land of 529s. They don't really know how it works. And because of that fear, most people don't move forward. So I figured we could just talk about how you've used them and how successful you have been with them. And hopefully we can reduce a little bit of that fear out there. So
Yeah.
I have plenty of questions for you, and you should know all the answers because it's your life.
Yep. Yep. All
All
right. Yeah.
right.
Fire away. It's one of my favorite topics for
All
sure. I
right.
post quite a bit, and I will tell you, I probably get
Mhm.
more engagement on my 529 posts than many. And it's really funny
Mhm.
because it becomes really controversial because people then
Mhm.
dive into the whole is college relevant anymore? And then
Mhm.
about the
Yep.
expense of college. And I look at it, and so it gets a lot of engagement because I'll get folks that are, have that mindset. And, I can't fix some of the things that, are happening in our world with
Mhm.
the cost of college or, what skill sets are going to be needed 20 years from now and whether or not that requires a college degree. I just know what I know and I know what I can control. And that's
Yep.
always what I've focused on.
Yep. They always say you never hear rich people telling their kids not to go to college. So I'll
That's,
just
I
leave it at
mean,
that.
it's a true point. Yeah.
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 So I know personally, I didn't really know much about 529s. And so I was just curious how you first heard about them. Is this something that you just always knew about, or did somebody tell you about it?
So I learned from people at work because my parents did not have one set up for me. Fortunately, my dad was a college professor, and that meant free tuition if I went to where he taught. And my parents didn't give me a choice. They're like, "That's where you're going," which was fine. It's a great university.
Makes sense.
So it wasn't that they saved, and I had them. And I don't even think 529s existed back then, to be honest. I
Mhm.
mean, I forget the year they started, but way after I was young. But I had kids later than a lot of my friends and coworkers. I worked with folks that were like 5 years ahead of me, and plus I had kids later. So they talked about it more than anything. And that's when I would like read and read more about it. And honestly, I used to like subscribe to Money Magazine back in the day
Mhm.
because, of course, I date before, internet and magazines were still a big thing. And I'd learn a lot about money through that. And that
Mhm.
was one of many topics. And so I would do research and ask and things like that to get my information way back when and even have the awareness. So it wasn't something I learned in school. It wasn't something I learned from my parents. It was really like word of mouth. And
Mhm.
um, knowing that I appreciated and valued my college education. My husband did his. And again, I came from a family where my dad was a college professor. He had his PhD. So you can imagine that like college education was always going to be on my brain, like, yeah, and that's what I want for my kids too, because it's created a good life for us. It created, everything that now we've given to our kids. So I thought kind of like, that's my best case scenario. Why not plan for the best? And
Mhm.
in my mind, going to college and having that higher education was great. So I was really looking at it and never really questioning. I mean, of course, there's always possibilities of your kids not going or choosing another path. But my whole thing is I'm not going to play this what if. I'm going to plan for what I want and what I know, and I'm just going to go with it. Like I've
Mhm.
never really questioned like what's going to happen to all this money if I don't? Because there are options.
Mhm.
I mean, your money doesn't disappear if
Yeah,
your kids
we're gonna
don't.
get to that at the end, I
Yeah,
promise.
yeah.
I got that.
So in my mind, it was like, oh, this is what I do to make sure my kids have money for college. This is what
Mhm.
they did. And I worked with a lot of smart people back in the day, honestly,
Mhm.
financially savvy. I mean, I worked for an accounting slash technology firm, and these folks had finance and IT degrees left and right, and they knew what they were doing. So I trusted
Okay.
them.
Yeah, so it
Yeah,
sounds like you had a lot of smart people around you where
I
you
did.
could glean all that great information.
Mhm.
But even then, I hear you saying you were self-taught, which a lot of us are. Did you
Mhm.
still feel like a little bit uneasy, or were you like 100% positive, like this is the right thing to do?
No, I was never uneasy about the account because
Hmm.
I understood that it was mine to control and it was in my name. And I had already been investing through 401k, my 401k. So I understood the concept of an investment
Hmm.
account. Now, did I really understand what I was investing in? No. And I'm not saying I would have made different choices per se, but like
Hmm.
the default of age-based funds, like kind of like targeted, I mean, retirement funds have like targeted accounts. So it's like
Hmm.
aggressive when it's really early on, and then it gets more conservative, but towards the time that you're going to
Get closer.
use the money,
Hmm.
because then you don't want to take as much risk because you need that money.
Right.
So you don't have the time on your side. And everything said age-based fund, age-based fund, and I just fine. Like
Just went with it.
I'll just put it there. And
Hmm.
and that's the only thing that like I was kind of like, I guess this is where my money should go within
Hmm.
the account. And I couldn't say that I
Hmm.
was super confident about it, but I didn't know what else to do. And I knew it needed to be invested in something.
Right.
But the account
Right.
itself, I wasn't ever concerned about. I felt like it had enough, there was enough credibility and I understood. And the rules have changed and it's way more
Hmm.
flexible now to use than it was back then. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of things with money. You just have to have some faith and have a
Yep.
direction and just create a plan and
Jump
stop
in.
thinking about the what ifs. If
Yeah.
you think about the what ifs, 5 years passes and then you just lost out.
Yep,
So,
totally agree. That's the same advice I give people with their 401k. If
mhm.
they are like, I have no clue what to invest in, then if you have no other option or you're really not sure, just go with that age fund. Whatever the year is that you think you're going to be retiring, pick that one.
Right.
Even though it has higher fees, ultimately, just pick something because it's
Get
better
the
than
ball
doing
rolling because
nothing.
you could change later. And
Right.
I did learn enough too. I did know when I first started that you could always change things later on.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
not like, and you could even change the account, the brokerage account that you were investing through. So it at no, no penalty. So I knew if I
Hmm.
started and I chose one state plan, that if down the road I was like, oh, this plan sucks. Like they have really high management fees, which most 529 accounts don't, but I could switch it later at no penalty. So I didn't feel like this decision
Right.
when I have these newborn babies, and I know that will probably be one of your questions on,
Yep.
how early did I start? I
Mhm.
knew that I wasn't like locked in and committed to just one model. Like, okay, you chose this investment, you chose this
Now you're
plan,
stuck.
you're stuck
Hmm.
for the rest of your
Hmm.
time. So that gave me some comfort as well.
Yeah, so that actually leads into my next question. So I think a lot of people don't have a ton of money when their kids are small because of childcare. So were you contributing early on, even when you were paying for childcare, or did you wait until childcare ended and said, okay, now I can redirect these funds?
I started really early, but not much. Like, I
Hmm.
think I opened each account, it was probably a couple $100, like the year they were born. I'm not talking about monthly. I'm talking about total for like the year they were born. Like, it was the
Hmm.
whole
Hmm.
just get the ball rolling. It's going to make me feel good. And then it's
Hmm.
there that when the time is right and maybe there's an opportunity to contribute more, I'm not starting from scratch. It's already there. And
Hmm.
I wanted to do it to like check the box and go, okay, I set up that account. So it was a
Yep.
couple $100, if that. And then as time went on, I mean, early on, if there was a random, I mean, when they were babies, like if someone was going to give me something, I'm like, $50, give me $50 and I'm putting it in their account, like don't get
Hmm.
them toys. They've got 1,000 toys and they're only 2 years old. Like they don't keep,
Yes.
they'll never even know what it was. Like I would
Hmm.
ask for money sometimes too, especially like
Hmm.
at Christmas, grandma or grandpa give $50 to every grandkid. they were babies,
Mhm.
little, they didn't know what money was. I'd be like, that's going to college. So it
Mhm.
was sporadic. It
Mhm.
was not, I was not in a routine. I wasn't withdrawing or automatically doing things. Um, Maybe even a fraction of my bonus once in a while or a tax refund. It would like just make me feel good. Like, yeah, maybe I had my own things to take care of, but I'd be like, oh, we can put a couple $100 in each of their account. Like, just again, it was so easy once you set up the account to just transfer it over there that
Mhm.
it would be here and there just to get it going.
Yep.
Um, and
It's
the childcare years, oh, forget it. Like I couldn't stay consistent until
yeah.
those were done. I was earning more so I could start contributing more towards the end when childcare got a little bit cheaper because one was out, one was still in. Like I
Mhm.
could gradually move it up. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was few and far between those early years.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel kind of negative when it comes to contributing to an investment account because they feel like they can't do it consistently enough or they don't have enough money. But it goes to show that just by opening the account, you've already done step one. You've already done the hardest part. And then when that money happens to come your way, either by a gift or, like you said, a tax refund or an unexpected bonus, a windfall of any way, shape, or form, then the easy part is just transferring it over and investing it. So I recommend the same thing. People are like putting off, opening their Roth IRA. Like, just open it. Like, even if you don't put a penny in it, just open it. So I can see where even if it's, not something that you did consistently while they were really little, just by having the account open, that was the winning factor for
Yeah,
just getting your kids something.
right.
Um,
And even, again, if putting a piece if you did get that windfall of money, just putting a part, a fraction of
mhm,
what you got, it like emotionally like feels good. Like you
mhm,
shared it with your kids on something that is good for their future. Like it was, it was all of that, those feelings and that emotion that adds up. And it kind of, when you get hooked on some of that feeling, you are more incentivized to do it
mhm.
more often. And when you have the
Yeah.
opportunity, do it regularly. And that was kind of the evolution of what we did.
So that made me think, like, how often did you check the accounts? Because I know once your like 401k or your IRA starts to grow, you kind of get like addicted to checking it and seeing if
Oh
it's
yeah.
growing. So how
That
often
I'm
did you even
addicted
look
to.
at it?
I mean, like once a year or
Mm,
something. Like when those early years, I mean,
mm,
I could keep track in my head how much should be in there. I mean, I wasn't
mm,
really losing anything at that point. I mean, it was so minor, like the
mhm,
earnings or the losses were so small, like it wasn't that concerning to me. It's
mhm,
always when the balance gets bigger, and you're contributing more and you want to see. And when I started following the stock market more closely, then I kind of knew. And it was more of I wanted to check it when the stock market was doing really well
mhm.
because I
Of
wanted to go,
course.
how much did that affect, that account and see
Mhm,
that growth? And what's really cool with a lot of the 529 plans is that when you look at the screens, and I have for long stories that I won't share, that like I have
mhm,
money in two different state plans because just to let everyone know, you don't need to use your own state plan. It has nothing to do with where your kid goes to college. And at the time when I was reading Money Magazine, I'll just tell you, Iowa was like top ranked state,
hmm,
529 plan, sponsored 529. Again, this was 20 some years ago. And I was like, oh, well, I'll do it that there because even though I don't live in Iowa, I knew that was the best plan and it didn't matter where my kids were going. It had nothing to do with that. Um, what was my point of that? Oh, yeah. So I have that and I have another state plan. And in both of
mhm,
those plans, it will show you like your contribute lifetime contributions versus earnings. Um, so that's fun to see too, especially as it adds up to go, how many thousands of dollars over the last 20 years have I contributed and how much of that was, I know what the total balance is, but how much was really earning? Because again, if you're not contributing regularly, I'm not like doing the math in my head. It's cool to look on those accounts and how they divide it out and show you. It's very just so simple and clear how much you're
mhm,
actually earning over time. Um, so that's fun to see too, and I can see that in both accounts. So I
mhm.
think it's pretty common in the different plans that they'll show you that really
S-
clearly.
So that's a really good point because I think people get confused with the whole state part of it and they think, well, if I live in this state, I need to use that state's fund, and that's not the case. So I'm assuming that these days you can just Google it and be like, okay, which one's the best 529 plan and just pick one of the top three. Is it that easy to just pick one?
Yeah, yeah, saving for college. Okay. I did do one time a sponsored post with them, but that was long after I'd been recommending them forever. So that it
Mhm.
wasn't just a paid advertisement, but saving for college is the best resource out there for everything and anything 529s. That's my source. It's been my source for years. And they do annual reports. They do deep dives and will
Mhm.
show you like the management fees of each of these plans. They will show you the top ones, but I can tell you the management fees are super low across all plans. So you're not really going to see a wide variety of like, whoa, this one's way better. I mean, there's financial institutions back these. So even if like people talk about your state, let's just say it's something crazy happens, your state is in financial trouble, like the government itself. The government isn't handling these accounts. They're backed by like Vanguard manages, I think at least one of mine, Fidelity, all these other financial brokerage accounts are like behind the scenes, the ones that are truly
Mhm.
managing the money, but somehow like the state, I don't know the arrangements, but this it's called a state sponsored, but pretend your state's government goes bankrupt or something else, like your money
Mhm.
isn't at risk because of that. It's separate from the state itself. But yeah, you can
Mhm.
see all the information on savingforcollege.com to look at like what looks like the best plan out there right now. But if
Mhm.
your state has state credits or tax benefits, so some states will give you when it's tax time, if you've said, hey, I've contributed $5,000 to my kid's 529 plan this year, they'll give you a credit or they'll give you a tax deduction, but it's state taxes, not federal. But it's a
Mhm.
state by state thing. So sometimes you do have the incentive
Mhm.
to contribute to your own state plan versus choosing another one because you'll get some money back or in some ways, or sometimes it's a full blown like credit. So you want to always check your state first, but that doesn't mean you have to use it. But that you want
Yeah.
to know if there's an advantage. And again, savingforcollege.com has a whole list. It'll tell you every state that offers that.
Yeah, Cassie just commented that Virginia offers that. So that's
Mhm.
awesome. See, I didn't even know about that. So I think maybe when we post the replay, we can probably add a link for Saving for College. So
Mhm.
people can automatically just go there and start doing their own research.
Yep.
That would be a great
Yep.
resource to add. So at this point, you've been using your money that you've been saving all these years. So how did it feel the first time that you actually got to use your 529?
It was very cool. It felt very weird, but weird good. Like,
Hmm.
because honestly, the whole focus then when my kids were graduating from high school, I wasn't scrambling about, we already knew and we kind of had a bit of a unofficial rule that our kids needed to go to in-state public schools. Now my for college,
Hmm.
universities. My daughter, we weren't quite sure because I kind of felt like she was going to end up going to a private school, and it kind of made sense, but then she
Hmm.
didn't, thank goodness. And so, we knew what the tuition was and the expenses were going to be because it's out there. All this information's published, how much, your universities are across the country. Um, and to focus on like the college itself and what you're majoring in and celebrating getting out of high school and moving on to college and not worried about like, are you going to get any financial aid there? What kind of scholarships are you going to get? And that was going to make or break whether or not they could go to a certain college. Like that was such a relief and so exciting that we didn't have that pressure and that stress. Because I can't say that, all my friends and kids' friends had that same situation.
Hmm.
Um, and there was a lot of talks about student loans and it depends, when I'd ask where a friend was going, well, it depends on how much, who gives her the most money, which
Hmm.
college can give her the most money. That's what's going to determine where they go. And it was really great to go, you know, again, I did have parameters to say, I don't you can go to any in-state school, but
That's fair.
whether or not one was going to give you a few more thousand than the other wasn't going to make or break it because we had that
Right.
money and you could just focus on the celebrating and the getting excited for college and not the financial stress of student loans and all of that. So
Hmm.
it was pretty cool. I mean it's not it felt like there was just no disruption to our finances when they headed out.
Hmm.
And that wasn't the case for everybody. Even if people are trying to cash flow it as their kids are in college, which I had some
Hmm.
friends like that, like we didn't miss a beat because it's like, this isn't money we live off of. I'm pulling it out of this account, like whatever. So
Hmm.
I mean, it felt good.
So that makes me think of when you're filling out your FAFSA. Did you just fill out that paperwork knowing that they probably weren't going to give you any money because you have to disclose the 529s and you were just like, yeah, I have to fill this out, but I know
I
I'm not
did
getting
because
anything.
in order to get scholarships, you have to do
Hmm.
FAFSA. And
Hmm.
and my daughter and son were both applying for scholarships, not so
Hmm.
much thinking, well, I mean,
Financial aid.
no way we were going to, even if we didn't have the 529 accounts, we were not going to qualify for any financial aid because of the thresholds and stuff. My income was too high, but um, it was all about the universities and stuff required it to process scholarship money for
Hmm.
academics. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Probably
that
for
there.
sports too, but my kids weren't doing that.
Yeah, I saw that there was a question in the chat. If
Okay.
you want to come off mute and ask your question, you can go ahead.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, I know college tuitions are public, like you said, but just like ballpark estimate, what would you say you need in your 529 now? Like total to cover like a 4-year public in state.
So my kids were looking at around like one, okay, so, and we have really reasonable college tuition. It's looking like, I'm going to say 30 grand a year.
Yeah.
30 grand a year. And that's not tuition, that's tuition and room and board for
Hmm.
my state. Um,
Hmm.
that isn't the case everywhere, but they're in public universities. So my goal when my son was little was 100,000 that I needed. If I had 100,000, we'd be set. Then, time goes on, inflation. I'm like, I better save more than 100 because I feel like, and I also thought, I got my master's degree and I was like, it would be nice if I could do this and have some extra money if they wanted to do something else. I mean, I wasn't going to save for med school or anything, but
Right.
so it did work out that he had some extra money in there for he's in grad school right now that we can cover grad school because again he's going in state, it's public university. So we were sitting around maybe 125,000 for my son, and of course that's
Mhm.
right now in you know 2026. I don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years from now. My daughter, I saved more for my daughter because we did think there was a good chance she was going to go to a private school. And actually, we didn't save enough to even cover that if she would have done it. So I would have had to come up with some new things for
Right.
the last couple years for her. But again, 30,000 a year was fairly reasonable, but this is again another hot topic when I post about colleges, and I've pulled information straight from the college websites, and people will be screaming at me in the comments and say, that is, Texas State costs way more than that. And I was like pulling out like public public schools, public universities in not every state across the country, but I was trying to hit all regions, showing them that there are opportunities to have a reasonably cost college education. And so I was pulling the tuition, and people were yelling at me and telling me that's not how much it costs. It's triple that and whatever else. And I'm like, all I'm doing is pulling tuition. Like room and board can vary, right? If they're
Mhm.
living in a dorm, my kids spend less living off campus and me paying for their groceries and sometimes eating out. Like that's cheaper than what it would be their freshman year in the dorm with the meal plan. So some people live at home, right? If they might go to
Mhm.
school where they can commute. So If you're only paying tuition, that's totally different. Like, so I think it varies so much. It's hard to say what's enough and what's going to be enough in 18 years from now. I do not know. I mean, I feel like you just got to keep an eye on it and then realize you got to be more aggressive if that target number goes up. So,
Right.
So, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for asking it. So I guess that makes me think of another question. So, I know you said you had your kids just slightly a little bit older because you wanted to be settled in your careers and things like that. So
mhm,
I'm also assuming that you had your 401k or your IRA or whatever retirement investment going prior to having your kids.
mhm.
So let's say, for argument's sake, that you did not have anything saved for retirement. Would you still have put money into 529s for your kids?
Probably yes. But I'm not saying, everybody says, oh, take care of yourself first. And
Hmm.
I'm not like saying it's one or the other, but that's to me such a personal thing. I have like this your relationship and your view on children and what your personal goals are. Like I'm very much, I wanted to be full-blown provider for our family in every
Hmm.
way. And as long as my kids, like again, if I had kids that appreciated and were grateful and performed and weren't screwing around, I don't waste my money, like my kids are not good students. This would have been a whole nother situation. If they would have turned out to not, where I didn't think they could cut it,
Hmm.
I wouldn't be throwing money at it. But
Agree.
I think there needs to be balance. And that's what I've always done with like everything, like spreading out your money. I mean, I would have probably tried to do both and I would have ended up with less of both. Like,
Hmm.
um, if my income didn't continue to increase as, over time or my expenses went way up, I think I would have just again tried to come up with a target and contributed what I could to meet that target. I mean, I've always paying for your kids' entire college doesn't have to be the goal. It's not an all or nothing.
Hmm.
So if I was in that situation, I would have still contributed, but maybe in my mind, I'd be like, if I can cover half of theirs, that's better than nothing. But
Nothing.
I'm not in a
Hmm.
situation financially where I could do it. But in my mind was, I have no excuse to not save for them because
Hmm.
I'm working hard, I'm earning money, I have big goals. I should be able to do this for them. And so, again, it's kind of like just your mentality and your view on what you want to provide for your kids and not. And that was just one of my goals. That might have meant I had to work a lot longer. I'm hoping to retire in a couple years. And maybe if I wouldn't have had anything saved in my 401k then, I would have gone, okay, well, because I'm doing this, now I now have to work till I'm 65, and maybe I'd have
Hmm.
gone, that's okay, I'll sacrifice it for them. But then again, then that gets into like your personal, your personal stance on things. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think I
agree.
would have like not contributed to one or the other. I think it
Yeah,
just,
I think balance is so important. So I think I personally believe as the parents, they need to prioritize their retirement. Like you can't take a student loan out for retirement.
right.
And then if you have a really good budget, if you're living below your means, like you guys have for many, many years, then once the kids are out of daycare, then you can start funneling some of those funds into their college education if that's what you really want to do and that's what's important to you. But in any way, shape, or form, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a budget, if you don't know what you want for your kids, you have no goals, then obviously you're not going to do anything. And then even if you do something and it's not their full college education, something is better than nothing. And
Mhm.
for me, something is always better than nothing because people always say, "Oh, that's not going to be enough. Oh, $1 million for retirement's not going to be enough. Oh, if you only saved 50 grand for your kids' college, it's not going to be enough." And it's better than zero.
Oh,
I would
I
rather
know.
have
And
50 than
kids will be
nothing.
grateful because there are
Hmm.
plenty of people who get zero from their parents. I mean, I've seen enough between two sets of friends, so,
Yep.
diverse groups of kids, and the amount of people that have nothing. It's
Hmm.
actually surprising considering some of their lifestyles, to be honest. So we're not talking about that it wasn't achievable, it was just choices.
Yeah.
Um,
Sacrifices.
yeah,
Hmm.
not to
Throw them under the
criticize
bus.
or judge, but like it was very eye-opening to me about how much, but the kids that even said, well, my daughter would know things because kids just talk, well, I think their grandma's gonna have $10,000 a year for them. I'm like, that's awesome, and they're like, oh my gosh, I know, they're so excited. Like anything is better than nothing. That's big money. Yes, it doesn't
Mhm.
cover everything, but my gosh, it can cover a ton. It can cover
Yep.
food, it can cover books, it can cover, your rent if you're, living off campus. So, yeah, it's
Yeah. I wanted you to talk a little bit more about that because I know your daughter's living off campus and you were saying how
mhm,
it's less than living on campus. And
mhm.
like, how does your 529 work with paying her rent, paying her groceries and things like that?
Yeah,
Like, do you have
like
to
my
jump through hoops
all-time
to prove
highest,
it?
my all-time most popular reel is
Mhm.
is my daughter talking about my daughter's, and I did it once with my sons too, because a couple years ago he did the same thing, about the fact that you can use 529 plans to pay rent. If you are enrolled, I believe it says at least half time in school, that you can cover rent with your 529 plan. And so it's a matter of 529 plans when they're dispersed and you request distribution. I just did it yesterday, actually, for both of my kids. Um, you don't have to even pay, like when it's tuition, if the university's set up, you can route your money directly to pay like their tuition and fees. And so it just goes straight to the university, which is actually nice
Mhm.
because then it's all hands off. But when it comes to, and even like the dorm and whatever, but when it comes to rent, you're actually going to be reimbursing yourself. So you need to withdraw and pay yourself the amount of money of the rent that you're going to pay for your kids. So you're taking out money, you call it a qualified expense versus an unqualified expense, I think. That because they cover your housing expense, they cover your utilities, your housing expense, even internet, and then food. Now there are limits to that, so it cannot be more than you would pay if your child lived in the dorm and had a meal plan. So if that's $10,000 a semester, your rent and your food that you're reimbursing yourself for as you cover your kids' cost for rent and food can't be over 10,000 total. Like,
Mhm.
so it has to be in line with the university that they're attending, that it's less than or equal. But you actually take out the money and
Mhm.
you pay yourself, you check it as a qualified expense. And unless you're audited, you're not, you know, nobody's checking. You hold on to receipts. I mean, I have electronic stuff. Everything we do is electronic. So we have all kinds of records of grocery store purchases or dining out at McAllister's or something like that. Like even that, um, is all, you keep records of all of that in case you're audited. Um, and rent, these are usually you're set up to do paid rent directly through all these landlords anyway, these companies. So,
Mhm.
um, you have that record too. But so then you just want to make sure the money you're withdrawing falls within the range of all those expenses, that you're not doing anything like fraudulent, or because if you're taking out money that's not qualified, you get a 10% penalty on that, and you need to pay taxes on any of the earnings. So,
Mhm.
and all the penalty and the earnings are the only things, or I mean, what did I say? The earnings are the only things that are penalized or get taxes on it. Anything you contribute, you
Mhm.
don't get penalized on, if you took it out.
Yeah.
So
Just like a Roth IRA.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So a lot of people are like, that's not true. They have to be on campus. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can read it. Like I finally, in one of my posts,
Mhm.
attached the exact IRS rule, the document that like spells all. I had to dig deep for it though. And of course, on the government's website, it wasn't like easy to find, but it's like a PDF document that
Mhm.
talks about all the qualified expenses, like, books or a laptop for your child, or the supplies, like say they're an art major, all the supplies you have to buy, for their, or they're a scientist, for their labs and for their art, you can reimburse yourself for all of those too. So they have this long, long list of everything that's a qualified expense. But people think it's weird that you can pull it out and pay yourself for it. That throws people off. But again, keep your records in case you're
Mhm.
audited, so people So, the government knows that you're
Yeah.
using it legitimately.
It sounds easier than getting reimbursed for my FSA. My FSA makes me jump through more hoops to get
Oh,
reimbursed than it sounds like the
100%.
529 does.
Same at my
Goodness gracious.
company. I know. I was uncomfortable at first because I felt like, do I need to turn something in when I submit this expense? And it was like,
Hmm.
no, I mean, it would be a great practice to be doing that personally, like for your own
Hmm.
records. And I have like a spreadsheet that I use, but I haven't like kept all the receipts, but I know where to go electronically through all the documentation, bank statements or
Hmm.
credit card statements where I could easily prove that these were all
Hmm.
legitimate. But it's all,
Yeah.
they don't require that when you withdraw your money.
Yeah. It's probably good to have that document, just something with your
Yeah.
tax refund or your tax return for that year, just to keep it somewhere, the receipts or things like that, just in
Oh, for
case. But
sure.
it doesn't sound like it's a highly auditable area unless you're like trying to buy a Corvette with it or something.
Right, right. I
So,
don't know what would draw a red flag, but like the
mhm,
timing of when I withdraw, like always coincides with like I do monthly, a monthly set amount that's the
mhm,
rent, 550 or 700 or whatever, once a month. So that's a rhythm.
mhm,
And then once a semester, I just pay the whole semester's cost. I mean, some of
mhm.
that is like predictable enough that it's pretty evident, like I'm not doing something wacky, withdrawing
Yeah,
some crazy wild amount on an off time or something to draw a red flag. Yeah. That's
yeah,
my
makes sense.
logic. Yeah.
Okay, so keep your receipts, but it's easier than you think.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if how much did or when did your kids find out that you were saving all this time for their 529s? Did they know all growing up, or was it like,
hmm
hey, you're not
hmm
getting this money unless your grades are right?
No, no, we didn't do that. I talked a lot about what we were doing because I wanted them I wanted them to respect the sacrifices that we were making, that there were a
Hmm.
lot of opportunities. We could have been more selfish about the money and done some flashier things in life and spent it on ourselves. Um, and I would use that as a good example in a lot of situations where when the kids are in a just, and they don't really get it and they ask and ask and ask for stuff, whether it
Hmm.
was, shoes or clothes or why don't we live in a bigger house or why can't we just move to that more popular area of town or something? And I'd be like, because we have other goals. Like we put away a lot of money for you guys for college and I know that doesn't affect you right now, but there'll be one day when you'll see the difference. And it it was gratifying to see how much they like how grateful they were when they were in high school, like their senior year, junior and senior year, and they realized we're not even going to have to like have student loans. This is insane. Like
Yeah.
when they're younger though, they don't really get it. We just talk about we're
Hmm.
saving for your future. Trust me, we know what we're doing. You just have to make choices with your money. And it was just
Hmm.
one of the many money lessons we gave them. Um, but we didn't necessarily say, but if you don't do well, you're not getting any, it's more of, we didn't necessarily say it's your money. It was more
Hmm.
of, because it's not. The accounts are in your name, just to let everybody know. These accounts are not in your kids' names. They are a beneficiary, a named beneficiary of your account. Like, and I don't mean when you pass away, I mean a beneficiary that they will receive, like it's on their behalf, but it's
Hmm.
yours to do whatever you want. If one day your kid just goes off the rails and you're like, I have this money, but I'm not ready to cash it out, whatever else, you can make yourself your a beneficiary. And it's all, that they're not even associated with the money anymore. So um, we just phrased it as like, we're putting away money in special accounts for you, but it is our money and we are making sacrifices. So
Yeah.
and they did respect it. Again, especially now that they're in college and during college too. When your kids get more exposure to other people and other
Hmm.
situations, whew, I mean, we're like, see, but not that they didn't realize how lucky they
Yeah.
were, but
Yeah.
it's eye-opening.
I'm
Because,
hoping my son realizes that too. I opened up his
yeah,
Roth IRA last year. I funded it out of my money. And I'm
Mhm.
like, one day he's going to be thankful. One
Oh,
day.
100%. He will. Oh,
Yeah.
he will. He will.
Yeah. All right. So, some other questions. Is there anything that you would do differently if you would start over, or are there any like mistakes that you think people should avoid?
The only mistake is just making it out to be a bigger deal to not to before they open it. I mean, it's really like people going, I don't know which plan to choose. And then it's a year later and they haven't chosen a
Hmm.
plan. I'm like, who cares? Like I just said, you can
Hmm.
switch plans later. Just do it, pick the target fund and get going, hook up your checking account to it, worry about it later, but keep it, keep contributing what you can. So I see people, the whole analysis paralysis thing, which
Hmm.
is a similar story to people with IRAs and everything else, or even
Hmm.
enrolling in their 401k and they're like, well, I don't get it all. You don't have to get it all. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I'll say, I hate to say blind faith, but you got to have you got to be okay sometimes to just go for it. Like that's not a
Hmm.
high risk decision to open up a retirement account or a 529 account,
Hmm.
unless you're dumping $100,000 in it and someone's like, oh, you should have done something to, you know.
Hmm.
So I think that's it. I mean, the only thing I would have done differently, I do wish like I wish I would have understood investing a little bit more back then to the extent of like I think I would have split some and done like some of it in a target or age-based fund, and then I do some of it in an index fund to kind of get like to have a little bit of
Hmm.
riskier, more aggressive, but not crazy aggressive,
Hmm.
or crazy risky. I love S&P 500, and so I wish I would have done more of that
Hmm.
early on, but in the end, we've got enough to cover their school, and that's all that matters. Could it have been more if I'd have been more aggressive? Yeah, but it's hard when that's the first thing you cash out. So, like, I've been also saving for or investing for 31 years in retirement. I've never touched that money. So, this was the first
Hmm.
milestone of like investing for a bunch of years and then pulling it out. And
Hmm.
so that happened faster. So, I got a little more nervous about being riskier, like, because it was there, I
Hmm.
felt it was their money. Like, I had more time for my retirement. So, I felt like I could be more, you know,
Aggressive.
take more risks and be more aggressive.
Hmm.
So those are some
Yeah.
of the things like when I reflect on where I was, but
Yeah.
I did
I
what
feel
I
like, yeah.
understood.
Yeah. I feel like I hear the same questions over and over again. Like, what's the best high yield savings account? What's the best brokerage account? In this case, what's the best 529? People spend so much time asking other people which one's the best, which one's the best. Like, you're wasting time. Just
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
one. Just pick one.
I know so many like the brokerage firms, they're
Yeah.
all good. Fidelity's
Just
good,
pick one.
Vanguard's good, Schwab's good.
Pick
The
one.
the high yield savings account. Like I think Allie is really, really good because it has these buckets and everything else. But I went with
Hmm.
Marcus because I don't know why that they had some incentive. I think like I got a couple hundred
Hmm.
dollars after I had stuff in, like it was some promo they were running. The rates themselves are a fraction of a fraction of difference, in what they earn. And
Hmm.
both are great accounts and they're both FDIC insured. So who cares?
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know, like I
Yep.
tell
Just
people,
jump
here's
in.
what I did. I'm not saying it's the best,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to switch where it is. It's not worth it. Like it's fine. So
Yep.
yeah, there's so many good opportunities out there for all these different accounts and brokerage firms that, you don't really have to dig into the details. Just go for it and change it later.
Hmm. Yeah. I know when I first started investing, I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, well, people say I'm supposed to do this, and I don't know, put money in
Oh,
this
that's definitely
401k
how I
thing.
was with my retirement
I
account.
don't know. I was like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I
That's
had no
exactly what I
clue.
was doing. It was a
No
joke.
clue. I had no
Yeah.
clue what I was doing, but I'm
Yep.
so glad I did it, even though I didn't know what I was doing, because it
Hmm.
paid off. So I
Yeah,
think remove the fear. I mean, it doesn't mean just going to do things blindly. I think everyone needs to take a little bit of time to educate themselves. It takes really so little to educate yourself. And even learning about 529s is going to help you with your 401k. It's going to help you with your IRA. It's going to, all the investing is almost the same.
it
So if
is. It's
you
just they
take the
have
bit of
different
knowledge,
purposes.
yeah, take
Yeah.
that little bit of knowledge, it spreads everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep,
I,
definitely. So what would you say to a mom who feels like it's too late and they should have started it a long time ago and like what's the point now?
right. Well, I mean, investing, can earn, I mean, you can earn money every single day. So investing is investing, whether you got to do it for 3 years or you did it for 18 years. It's better than being in a good old traditional savings account.
Hmm.
And the other piece too, that I think sometimes people think it's, the the clock is still ticking while they're in college. I mean, if you're looking for a
Mhm.
longer period of earning, you can keep some of you can save some of that money and maybe you let it ride, through the later years of college and you pull it out later on. Like people think like
Mhm.
everything stops your freshman year. Like, oh, they enrolled and now it's done. Like the money's still invested. My kids still have money
Mhm.
invested. I didn't cash out and it's holding somewhere waiting to be dispersed over 4 years of college. So you still have time for it to grow. And I would never not do something because, well, it only has a couple years. It only has 5 years. Again, some of it's just a habit and a discipline of getting the money out of your hands and into somewhere that has a purpose and is motivating. And it goes back to the something is better than nothing philosophy. You don't have to sit there and worry and go, well, it only amounted to $2,000. Well, guess what? $2,000 just paid for all their books,
Books. Mhm.
which was going to end up being a student loan otherwise. So like you
Mhm.
gave them a $2,000 gift. Like stop looking at that
Mhm.
bigger picture and look at what you were able to contribute. And there should be a rewarding feeling in being able to do that.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a it's never too late kind of
Okay.
person. Yeah.
That's good. I think a lot of people have that negative feeling where even when it comes to retirement, like they're like, "Oh, I'm already 45, I'm already 50, I'm already 55." Like, "Oh, it's too late. I missed the bus." Like, what's the point? And it's like, you're not going to die at 65, are you? Like, are you planning to die at 65? You never know.
Right.
You could live to 75, you could live to 80, you could live to 90. Like, it's going to still be invested. So you
Right.
might as well just jump in.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So this is another question that I had. So I know you said like in lieu of gifts, right? Maybe a family member gave you $50 or $100 or whatever. Is it
Mhm.
possible for family members to contribute directly to the 529?
In some plans, they can contribute directly to, there's a couple different states. I think a lot of them are adopting that. I'm trying to think because I think my state plan, they're trying to make it easier. It was a little clunky. The answer is yes. How
Hmm.
easy it is, sometimes you have to have more information than with other plans. Like they're trying to make it more convenient that you don't need the child's social security number or anything else
Hmm.
to be able to contribute. So yes, you can. You would probably just need to go to that if you need to know what the plan is, like, is it the Iowa state plan, and then look up how to do it and what kind of information you need.
Hmm.
There is also the opportunity if you're like, well, what if I want to have my own plan for my grandchild or my nephew or whatever else? You don't have to have the parents involved at all. You can set
Hmm.
up your own plan. This isn't just a parent-child type of thing. I mean, even if you wanted to set up one for your sister, your sibling, you had a younger sister or
Hmm.
something like that, you can set it up. And again, you're the account owner, and that also gives you more control. Just, you never know if you're contributing to someone else's account and they decide to do, the parent decides to do something else with the money rather than
Hmm.
use it for the child, which does happen, unfortunately. You
Ouch.
can't turn around and go, you just use my money that I contribute to their 529 to go buy a new car. You know,
Hmm.
if you open up the account yourself for your
Hmm.
niece, your nephew, or whatever, then you have the ability to control that money. And it's something that you can give as a gift in the same way a parent can. So
Hmm.
that's sometimes the safer route. But if there's none of that risk, then you could just do it directly to their account that maybe their parents set up for them.
Yeah.
So it's up to you.
Yeah, that's a really great point because I think we have a lot of ladies these days who just want to be a rich auntie and we have no desire to have children. So
Mhm.
it's like they want to hook up their nieces and their nephews.
Mhm.
And this is a great way to do that instead of buying them, like you said, pointless gifts, more plastic junk. And kids have so much stuff. Like
No.
so much better to
And it's
contribute or
really
create
hard
this.
because it's really fun to see kids excited and
Hmm.
think of you as the one that showers them in gifts every year. But I'm telling you, age 17 rolls around and they're like,
That's real love.
yeah, and they're like,
Yeah.
wait, what? You have $5,000 for me to collect? It's like getting
Hmm.
a scholarship, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like money falling from the sky. And then you're like, yeah, well, I didn't shower you with gifts for those years. But it takes a lot of self-discipline on your part too, because
Hmm.
it's fun to spoil kids. Let's all admit it. It's fun to see their joy and their excitement and
Yeah.
them thinking you're the best thing ever because you gave them something really cool. So
Yeah. But
yeah,
it's sacrifice. It's
it's
sacrifice.
sacrifice for sure. So lots of
Hmm.
self-discipline.
Yeah. So what would be, I mean, I think I know what it is, but what would be your main takeaway for a parent or for a family member or a friend that wants to do this for their kids or for someone else's kids? What would be the main thing to walk away with today?
Yeah, I would just say get started. Obviously, the opening the account, make the first step, contribute 20 bucks. I don't even care
Hmm.
because I'm telling you, then when you have an extra 20 here or there and you're just like, huh, I think I'll just throw that over there and I won't even miss it. And then,
Hmm.
like you said, you check 6 months later and you're like, there's 500 bucks in there for them. And that's going to
Hmm.
be substantial for something. Again, maybe not, it doesn't pay for their whole tuition, but
Hmm.
the little things add up. And it does feel really good to do something so big for your kids. I mean, in my opinion, and to give them something so meaningful. And to me, because I grew up with education, higher education being so highly valued in my family, that it just like to me that was the best gift I could ever give them is to be able to let them get this education, for them for free. Because I appreciated the fact that I was able to get out of college without any student loans, but not, because of my getting free tuition through my dad.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's all about just get started and start putting money into it and don't overthink it. I mean, if you want to be aggressive with it, come up with your goals and decide, like look up your state tuitions and say, okay, well, if I could pay for a fourth of it, I could at least pay for one of their 4 years. Like that's that's a big gift. That's a big gift, and so
Hmm.
just I'm all about I need goals to keep me motivated.
Hmm.
So throw out some goals, but it doesn't, maybe you say, I just want to have $1,000 for them before they graduate from high school, because that will just make me feel like I did something for them. Um, just get started. Those accounts are so easy to set up. I mean, you do it
Yep.
all online. You fill out a few things and it's good to go. You link up your bank account so you can transfer money over easy and you're not doing all kinds of crazy paperwork. Super easy. Same thing with high yield savings accounts, super easy.
Yep.
So, and it
It's a lot
got
easier than you
websites
think.
these websites are so good. They'll guide you through.
Hmm.
The default's usually an age
Yep.
based. Like, what year do you expect your child to go to college? You just fill out the stuff and just get it
Hmm.
going. And then as you learn more about investing and you're like, hey, I think I could be doing something a little bit riskier here, then you just go in and change it
Hmm.
online. Like it's all as easy as anything else these days with banking
Yeah.
and financial.
Click, click, click.
Yep, click, click, click. That's it.
Yeah, so we're running low on time, so I wanted to get just the last little bit at the end with for me was what is the worst case scenario, right? So what if my kid decides not to go to college? And I know for me when I heard about 529s, I was like, "Ah, I don't know if I want to do that for my kid because I always prioritize my retirement and I was like, I don't think my son wants to go to college. So I kind of looked up some of the what ifs and just to kind of appease everyone, I figured we could end with this. So we've got four different options here if your kid decides not to go to college. So number one, you can just change the beneficiary, right? It can go to another child, it can go to a sibling, it can go to a future grandchild. You can even give it to yourself.
Mhm.
So as long as someone's using it for college, there's no penalty. Another family member can use it. You will not waste your money. Option two, they can use it for other qualified education. That's another thing that I was wrong about, right? I thought it was just for traditional college, but no, apparently you can use it for trade school, vocational school, community, apprenticeships, graduate school, certain certificate programs. There's so many more
Mhm.
options, especially because a lot of kids these days are like, oh, I don't want to go to college. It feels like a waste.
Mhm.
Well, do a vocational program then. If that's what you really want to do, you can use it for
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And this was the thing that really was the kicker for me. I was like, ah, you can now roll your 529 into a Roth IRA for your child. Boom.
Mhm.
That was, to me,
Huge.
it's a no-brainer.
That only happened like went into effect 2 years ago. I mean,
Yes,
that's huge. That
yes.
should have opened up doors for everyone to stop, or break down doors or
Hmm.
whatever to
The barriers.
the barrier
Yeah.
for people to say, oh, I don't, maybe I just want to do an IRA instead. Now
Hmm.
you can, you've got this as your backup plan.
Yeah. So I thought this was amazing, knowing that you could kickstart their retirement starting from birth instead of waiting until they started working.
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
then the last option is, if you withdraw it for non-education use, yes, you can still take out your money for non-qualified expenses. Anything that you put in, any of the contributions will come out tax-free, right? Because you already pay taxes on that. You will
Mm-hmm.
only pay on the earnings are taxed as income, only on the earnings, and then there's a penalty, right? A 10% penalty. But again, that's only on the growth. So
Right.
even if worse comes to worse, you can just take the money out that you put in and just pay some taxes and fees, and you can still get the money back.
Yep.
So there's really no good reason not to open one, even if it's you're just putting $10 a month into it, just definitely do it. So I just wanted to say thank you to Aunt Kara for being here. You have such great kids. They're such a great example for everybody else's kids, and you're such a great mom and such a great example for other moms to do the right thing by your kids and always be planning
Thanks
for
so much.
them. And I appreciate you being here. This is going to be posted in my community. So I have a school community, Your Meanest BFF, Rich Gal Goals. So just a little bit of what we do in my community. Every Tuesday, we have a money power hour that's called Blow Up Your Budget. And we spend some time on whatever your problems are. We talk about that day. I host a monthly power chat, just like this one with Kara. Next month, we're going to do one with my friend Carla, and we're going to do your own life audit. So if you feel like you're drowning in things to do and you never get ahead, the life audit chat is going to be in March. That'll be great for you. I run workshops on all topics of money, money mindset, investing, taxes, you name it. I also offer one-on-one strategy sessions. My book is on Amazon, Your Meanest BFF's Guide to Personal Finance. And I've got my blog, and obviously follow me on Instagram at Your Meanest BFF. So here are all ways to get in touch with my community. If you want to be on the next Power Chat, follow me, and I always post about it. And who knows? And Kara will probably be back to talk about another topic. Maybe we'll talk about travel hacking one day.
I'll come back anytime.
So thank you so
We're
much for
buddies.
coming. Yes,
Thanks,
and
ladies.
we've been on Instagram forever, right? It feels like, isn't it like 7 or 8 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
been
we're both
forever.
women in IT, so we had that bond right away.
Yeah, the few, the proud, the women in
Yeah.
IT. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to wish you guys a good night, and we will talk on the next one.
All right. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Thanks.